Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great Tuesday. Probably not because Bitcoin was down today. Miners were down quite a bit today as well, so it wasn't a good day. But I hope at least you guys found it to be a buying day potentially, right? Buy the dips. Will the dips keep coming? We don't know. But we got approximately 16 days left until the halving event. So we're getting closer to that. Obviously, it's becoming a little bit more volatile right now in the markets. But here's what we got for today. We're going to talk about Marathon closing on their facility that they purchased. We'll also take a look at Digihost providing their production updates for March, along with Terawulf. We'll look at all those data. And then we'll possibly look at also the break-even numbers that we have for all the miners that have already reported their quarterly results for the quarter ending December 31st. And we'll see what their kind of break-even is right now with after the halving event. If Bitcoin goes, obviously, halves and we get 450 Bitcoin per day instead of 900. And we'll see which ones might be profitable at that point, which ones might not be. And then maybe in about a week or so, once everybody else reports their March production updates, we'll take a look at some other numbers that I have also for it, but we'll kind of go through it a little bit today. Okay, and as always, you guys know the drill here. This is not financial advice, for entertainment only. Please do your own research. I'm investing in following coins and companies for full disclosure. And if you enjoy this type of content, the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And also corrections will be posted to Discord, YouTube, and Twitter if they do happen, right? Not perfect. There might be some mistakes here, but we'll get them corrected as soon as we can. All right, so let's take a look at the markets here really quick today. And obviously, today was not a great day for us. We were down on Bitcoin. Bitcoin was down, finished out the day here, was down 6.06% on the day. It was down a little bit more than that. It kind of retraced. This was my kind of trend line here before on the lows here. We've obviously broken past that low here. So we'll get this updated here. We'll bring this down here right about there. And we'll see if that maybe holds. We'll see if it holds. Right now, it obviously broke through it, but we'll see if it holds. Right now on the new day, we're down a little bit as well. And then we did have actually some miners that were up on the day, but only two here. Everybody else was pretty much down on the day. And you can see here that Any was down 6%. Argo was down 8%. BitDeer was down 10%. BitDigital was down 10%. BitDeer was actually up 0.57% on the day. Bitfarms was down 3.7%. Cypher was down 12%. CleanSpark was down 9.42%. Cores was down 4%. Digihost up 2.8%. DMG down 5.5%. High was down 4.4%. Hot 8 was down 13.3%. Iron was down 8.9%, almost 9% there on the day. You got Marathon being down 8.7%. Mawson was down 11.51%. Riot was down 7.5%. Stronghold was down 6.9%. And Wolf was down 4.12%. And then we had the ETFs here for the miners down as well on the day. And then going down here, we got MicroStrategy was down only 3.54%. So that one's actually fared a little bit better, but it's obviously had a little bit more downward pressure here over the last couple of days here on it. Okay. So we'll see how things go. We're obviously getting close to the halving event. Things are going to get a little volatile, I think, which is normal to be expected, I think. Once we get through the halving event, I think things will start to maybe get a little bit better, depending where Bitcoin goes, right? So we'll have to keep an eye on that one. But let's take a look at the stories that we do have here, the announcements. And we'll get through this somewhat quickly, and we'll get into what the possible break-even numbers are based on the quarter ending December 31st. So first one on bad here is Marathon Digital Holdings announces the closing of its acquisition of a 200 megawatt Bitcoin mining data center adjacent to a wind farm. So this is actually really good news here. They've been buying, obviously, this is, I think, their third purchase of data centers that they had their machines being hosted at. And this is good news because now they have a little bit more control over it, and hopefully they can run their operations a little bit more smoothly with a little bit more better uptime and everything else, and also save some money on it in the long run. So this is all good news, I think. Not that I know this is good news for them, right? As long as they can get the right people in place and everything else to do the job that they need to do and do it properly, they'll do great. So here's what we have. So with the closing of the acquisition, we have gained more influence over our operations and opportunity to reduce our cost per coin at this site, and an additional 100 megawatts of capacity in which to expand, said Fred Thiel, Marathon's chairman and CEO. Following the anticipated expansion of the site later in the year, our Bitcoin mining portfolio will consist of 1.1 gigawatts of capacity, 54% of which will be directly own and operate, and all of which are diversified across 11 sites on 3 continents. Right, so this is good. They're obviously increasing their own self-mining infrastructure, which is good. Right, they were asset light for a long time, and I think they've kind of learned their lesson that that's not always the best thing. I mean, it's maybe good to grow quickly, but you lose a lot of control over it as far as operations, uptime, things like that. So this is definitely great news for them. With orders and options for machines that represent an additional 45 exahash of capacity already placed, and with an acquisition of our third Bitcoin mining site now complete, We believe that we have a clear path to reach our growth targets of 35 to 37 exahash this year and 50 exahash next year. All right, so this is all good news here. We have a couple companies that are targeting that by the end of next year. Marathon's one of them. CleanSpark is another one. I believe Riot's supposed to get to in the 40s, someplace close to 50 as well. So we definitely have some great growth plans by a couple companies here in the space, right? Everybody's kind of vying for the top spot potentially here going forward. And it will be interesting to see which one gets to the top first, right? But definitely Marathon does have the things in place that they need to possibly get there, okay? So that's it. Just wanted to point out to you guys, Marathon's doing the right things in my opinion. And then let's take a look at here. Next one here is going to be on Digihost. So Digihost announces 60% month-over-month increase in cash and crypto position and provides March 2024 production update. And here's what we have. So the monthly production update highlights for March 2024. The company held cash, BTC, and cash deposits of approximately 6.2 million as of March 31st, based on the Bitcoin price of 71,000 as of March 31st, as per CoinMarketCap, as compared to 3.9 million as of January 31st, 2024, based on the BTC price of 61,000 as of February 29th, representing an increase over the previous month of approximately 60%. So obviously that's good. That's going to help them get through potentially the halving event and give them a little bit of cash to weather the storm a little bit, right? Depending where Bitcoin goes. If Bitcoin holds steady here for a while in the 60s or something like that, they're going to have a little bit more cash to possibly give them a little bit more of a runway, okay, going forward. The increase in the company's ending cash, BTC, and cash deposits position over the previous month is partially due to the execution of a multi-year hosting agreement with one of the world's leading manufacturers of digital currency mining servers that it announced on March 5th. Under the executed agreement, Digihost received an upfront deposit along with 4,640 S19 XPs, which equates to approximately 14 megawatts of hosting. The company plans to deploy these next-generation, highly energy-efficient and high-performance miners prior to the next Bitcoin halving. The deployment will result in an expected hash rate increase of approximately 700 petahash, bringing Digihost's total hash rate to 2.4 exahash. Okay, so that's all good news there. They mined approximately 91 Bitcoin during the month of March. This includes their hosting as well. Right? I wish they would separate this. It makes it a lot easier to track them if the companies separate this out for hosting, joint ventures, self-mining, right? Because that's makes it a little bit easier to follow them that way. And then going down here, during the period, the company paid off in full the remaining balance owed on a BTC loan payable. So that was good there also. And I think, there we go. Presently, Digihost consolidated operating capacity across its 3 sites represents approximately 90 megawatts of available power and is mining at a hash rate of 2 exahash right now. So that's all great news there. Okay, I think that is it for that one. So let's take a look at the spreadsheet that I do have here for them. Digihost currently has about 28.7 million shares outstanding. Market cap is at 42 million. Obviously, this is one of the micro caps here. And I'm actually thinking about whether or not I want to track some of these smaller guys here, like Digihost, DMG, anybody like Annie, Moss, and anyone that's like under maybe 5 or 6 exahash by the end of the year, potentially. Right? Let me know what you guys think. I think some of the smaller guys here will do okay. They might even outperform as far as percentage gains, potentially with Bitcoin going up, but I just don't know if there's that much of an interest in these here. And I don't know if I'm just wasting my time covering them. So let me know what you guys think. Okay, but the performance here over the last 12 weeks hasn't been that great. They're down 24% from 12 weeks ago, down 15% from 8 weeks ago, down 13% from 4 weeks ago, and they were actually up last week, 6.57. A lot of miners were up last week. Okay, let me put that up there. Okay, as far as Bitcoin production here, month over month, BTC production is the lighter color, and the month over month difference is the darker color. And they were at about 58.31 BTC here for self-mining that I calculated. This is what I could figure out based on the information that we do have here on them. So that's been coming down here. Monthly BTC mined revenue has increased. Obviously, Bitcoin going up in value has helped some of these guys get to new 12-week or 12-month revenue increases or revenue highs, right? BTC HODL, I'm still guessing that they HODL about 19. They don't report it, and they haven't reported anything else. They report cash and BTC and equivalents and things like that at the dollar figures, but it's hard to figure out what they actually have in HODL, so I just left it as is. Hash rate increase here, you can see that they've been pretty much at 1.2 for self-mining for the last couple of weeks here. BTC sold, they've been pretty much selling everything that they mine, I'm guessing, along with what they, well, maybe not. I mean, they don't report it, so it's hard to track it, but I'm kind of reporting that they sold everything that they mine. BTC per exahash efficiency isn't too bad here, 46.67 here. That's been coming down, but that's been coming down also for a lot of the miners because the network hash rate has been increasing here. BTC sold value, what they sold. And then going down here, institution-wise, institutions did decrease here a little bit to 25, but the shares increased to 3 million from 2.9 million. Percentage also increased to 10.3 from 10.1. We still don't have any strong buy ratings, or I should probably update this for 4.1, I think. Yeah, or 4.2 now. So I did miss this. I should have updated this. I was thinking we're still in March for some reason. So I'll get this updated before I provide this to the Patreon members, but I'm not guessing there's going to be any changes on it really on that one. Going down here as far as their operation side of things. So here's the joint venture hosting side of business, right? And then we had them, I added about 269,000 for Bitcoin transaction fees for the month. And then we had them operating about 28.2 days, which got us to the 6.16 million, which is what they reported for the amount mined. And then for the self-mining here, I calculated them to be about 3.9 million potentially in revenue here on that one, and about 58 Bitcoin because of it, okay? Let's see, it might be a little bit higher because of the transaction fees. I would have to figure out how to work that in as well. So we're pretty close to it, I think. It's not going to be exact, and it obviously would help if the miners actually provided the information, broke it down, self-mining, JV, hosting, whatever it is. That would make it a heck of a lot easier here. And a lot of the stuff, a lot of times we have to calculate it as best we can. All right, going back up here, looking at the next 12 months, right? We're basically the month of the halving right now. So we're looking 12 months out, basically at being after the halving right now. So that's kind of where we are, 23 million potentially over the next 12 months if things stay the same. That gives us a stock price of $2.06 to $3.10. If we look at the last 3 quarters in the current quarter that we're in currently, which is estimated, I'm looking at $2.52 to $3.78, right there, $1.47. I think they're undervalued, but there's a reason for it. Not a lot of growth. Their balance sheet is okay. I mean, they said they increased their balance sheet here to about 6 million here. So that would get them a little bit better from where their total current liabilities are. And if they played some stuff off as well, that would kind of help them, right? But we won't find that information out until they report the Q1 results on it. So that's it for Digihost. It's kind of where they're at right now. Probably one of the micro miners here that we cover. I think there's a couple of those that we do, about 4 of them or so. And we'll see how they do going forward. We'll take a look at the numbers that we have for the break-even side of things with the, actually, I don't think I have the numbers for them for Q4 numbers yet. I'll have to look to see if those have been reported yet or not. I'm missing that one, and I'm missing also Argo. Excuse me. Okay, so that's the only one that I'm missing in Argo right now. And let's get into the next one here. Let me know what you guys think of this one, obviously, in the comments down below. Next one here is going to be on Terawulf. So Terawulf announces March 2024 production and operations update. And going down here, here's what we have. So production and operation highlights. Self-mined 379 Bitcoin in March with an average production rate of 12.2 Bitcoin per day. Also, they do have a JV that they're working with, right? So they provide the total here, and they actually break it down below, which is great, which I love seeing that being broken out. Yeah. Power cost average at 13.7, almost 13.8 thousand per Bitcoin self-mined, which is really good price, or approximately 3.5 cents per kilowatt hour in March, which excludes the benefit of expected demand response or ancillary services proceeds. So that's really good pricing there. Installed hash rate increased month over month to 8 exahash in March, primarily due to the replacement of approximately 1,000 older generation miners with S19K Pro miners. So that's good there. It would be nice to know where those went to, whether those went to the JV or for self-mining. But right now, I think the JV is not supposed to get miners until sometime in Q2, right? So I'm putting these into the self-mining pile right now. In April, let's see here. Yeah, in April, they're saying an additional 3,000 S19K Pro miners are expected to be delivered and energized at Lake Mariner facility and deployed to replace the older generation miners. So that's also, I believe, their self-mining facility, which is this, yeah, Lake Mariner. And then here they broke it down, Bitcoin self-mine, right? Lake Mariner, which is their own facility, right? And then Bitcoin self-mine at Nautilus, which is their joint JV, is 89. So that's wonderful that they broke that down. And they also provided us with the operational hash rate average, which was 7.6, but they did stay up above. They're at 8 exahash right now at the end of exiting March. So that's kind of what I used there for them. Management commentary. In addition to replacing older generation miners during March, Lake Mariner implemented third-party firmware across a significant portion of our mining fleet, with initial results indicating a potential 10% efficiency improvement, said Sean Farrell, SVP of Operations at Terawulf. Excuse me, my throat's getting dry. Sorry about that. Let me see here. You guys can read the rest here. Okay, here we go. Construction of building for 35 megawatt at Lake Mariner facility remains on track to be completed by mid-2024, which is expected to increase Terawulf's total operating capacity to approximately total 10 exahash? Yeah, 10 exahash. So they do have, obviously, growth plans here, which is good to see as well. All right, let's take a look at Terawulf here really quick. And sorry about the scrolling. Get back up top. There we go. So Terawulf right now has about 302 million shares outstanding. Stock price as of today was $2.33. Market cap at 704 million. Right, they've actually had a pretty good run here in the last 12 weeks. 36% from 12 weeks ago, 47% from 8 weeks ago, 28% from 4 weeks ago, and then last week they were up 6.91%. So they've had a really good run here. Current hash rate at 8 exahash, future hash rate about 8.3, but I may have to take out some of the miners that they, and I think I did. Maybe I did. We'll take a look down below. They don't hodl anything, right? BTC self-mined right now is estimated, and then month-over-month difference is on the darker color of things. The nice thing here is to see that their self-mining has been increasing, which is a good sign here, right? We want to see that increasing as you get into the halving event, so that's good there. Revenues also, self-mined revenue estimated, has been increasing as well. That's good news there. BTC hodl, like I said, they don't hodl anything. Then we got hash rate, combined JV, and self-mining. So this is the total right now. That's been growing as well, and that's a good sign there. BTC sold and minus self and JV. So they've been selling everything that they mine here from that. BTC per exahash efficiency has been coming up here recently, which is kind of nice to see as well. And then BTC sold value, what they've been selling, they sell everything that they mine here going forward, which is fine. Going down here we go. I do have the latest data on the institutions. So 157, that's down a little bit from the 158. But the shares did increase to 65.8 million instead of the 65.5, so that's good. But percentage-wise, it did decrease. So obviously dilution, right? 21.86 now instead of the 27.52 before. We still have the same analyst ratings of 1 strong buy rating, 4 buy ratings, 0 holds, 0 underperforms, 0 sells. And the price target actually went down to $4 for the high instead of the $4.50. The average still stayed the same at $3.70, and the low stayed the same at $3. So I think the high came down because of the dilution potentially on that one. And then here's what we have for them. So the red ones are what I have calculated or estimated those are to be for their JV, right? So I'm trying to separate those things out. And then going down here, we're actually trying to track as best as we can here for the self-mining and JV as far as what the Bitcoin transaction fees could have been here for. So for self-mining, I added 859,000. For the JV, I added about 265,000 just to try to figure this stuff out a little bit here on that. Then the new miners that were added in here were the S19K Pros, which they stated. So I added about, what did I add? About 1,250 of those. That added about 150 petahash to them. And then I removed about 1,000 of these older ones, these 100 terahash miners, from 11,480 down to 10,480. And let me see if I removed those from up top. I did, okay. So it looks like I did remove those. 8.3, yeah, I did remove those from top. All right, so we got that figured out. And then here's what we have as far as all the numbers. So total, they generated about 25.8 million in revenue, right? For the JV, that was about 6.16 million. And then for self-mining, it was about 19.6 million on that one. Okay, and that's kind of how I was able to figure out what their actual self-mining was here. BTC mined from that. Plus they reported it, I believe. So that's kind of what we're looking at here for Terawulf. Based on all these numbers, going back up to my numbers here for the next 12 months, we're looking at about 117 million if things stayed the same, right? So we're looking at about $3.90 to $5.85, right? Obviously, if Bitcoin goes much higher, things are going to get much higher on these as well. And then for the last 3 quarters and the current quarter that we're in right now, I'm in between $3.34 to $5.01. And they're at $2.33. So I still think that they are on a value from where they really should be, okay? The only thing with them is obviously the debt. That's obviously a concern here. It's getting less of a concern here. They've been able to pay down a lot of it, which was good. I think they're down to, I don't think they spoke about the debt here at all, as far as how much they paid that down. I think they're planning to pay some of that debt down in April as well. I think they said somewhere around, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think somewhere around, 20 million potentially that they may pay that down. So from about 104 million, I think that's left, that would get them down to about 80 or 70 some million left potentially to pay off, which would be obviously good there. Okay, so that's it for Terawulf. Let me know what you guys think of that one. But things looking here are looking much better, right? Growth, we're seeing growth in hash rate, growth in revenue. Those are all good things. Growth in BTC mined, that's also good. Good sign there. The only thing is the debt. They got to get rid of the debt as fast as they can or restructure it, whatever they got to do. All right, so that's it for Terawulf. Like I said, let me know what you guys think. And let's take a look at the break-evens right now. These are the latest numbers that I have on the miners from the December ending quarter, right? Like I said, I'm still missing Argo here and Digihost. And this takes into account their quarterly expenses. So if we look at like, let's just do Marathon really quick because I already have that one pulled up. So we're pulling in here basically cash expenses, compensation, related taxes. We got professional fees, general administrative expenses as well being added in there. And then we're also including interest if companies are paying interest. So I'm looking, trying to find all the cash-based expenses that they have right at the end of the quarter. Now, it's obviously 3 months behind, right? Basically from where we are right now. So that's the latest data that we do have on them. Things might have changed in the last 3 months. We don't have that information yet. And we'll probably get that until after the halving event, probably in sometime in May, potentially. We'll get the latest quarterly results from these guys. Okay, so that's kind of what we did here, or at least I did. I pulled in all the information from all the quarterly results. I also pulled in all the energy expenses, right? So when they're reporting cost of revenue exclusive of depreciation, I didn't include depreciation in these. And what else do we include here? I try to figure out for some of these that report a total for all of their business, right? And then they have different business segments. So I try to separate those out based on the percentage of revenue to what their self-mining was. I tried to figure that out. So it's not going to be exact, but it's going to be pretty close. And I'm trying to think if there's another example here. Minus depreciation. So on this one, cost of digital asset mining, let me see, maybe I made a mistake here. We'll take a look. So we're taking into, this is for core, we're looking at cost of digital asset mining was 79.5 million here. And then let me see, where's the depreciation side of things? Where did I put that? There it is, 20 million depreciation. That's calculated, that's an estimated number there. So I think on the cost of digital assets mining, I think they include potentially depreciation in there as well. Because I don't think I have it in here where they extend that out. Sales general, yeah, they don't. So I'm guessing that they put in depreciation in there as well on it, like we've seen in the past. Okay. So that's the only difference there on that one. And trying to not include depreciation. And then we're basically looking at what the monthly expense is for all these. So energy expenses, monthly operational expenses as well. Then we're looking at the BTC average mined for that quarter. And we're trying to figure out what is the cost of energy per BTC. At the end of the quarter, you can see those numbers there. And then we're looking at the reported quarter uptime. So I'm looking to see basically taking the number of days that they operated in October, November, December, getting an average out of that for all these miners. And then we're also looking at the last three months. So January, February, and March to get those numbers here. And then we're looking at the quarter hash rate average. So what was their operational the average hash rate for that quarter that was reported on? And then we're taking that into account for going forward. Where are they at the end of basically February, right? Because I don't have the data for all these miners yet for March. We don't have the data for March yet. So we took that I took that into consideration. And then what was their potential operational cost or electrical cost, which includes obviously employee wages, things like that, and that as well. Okay, so that's all the columns down here. Going over here, I'm using 65,000 for Bitcoin, 600 exahash for the Bitcoin network hash rate. And then here is where we're actually getting the break-even price of Bitcoin for all these guys here. And I've actually done it so it's from lowest or, well, I did it by revenue here. But it also represents basically, I think it's the lowest. Yeah, it's following this. Yeah, I did it from the lowest to the highest number. So we can see here that CleanSpark, based on all the data that we have here. And the other thing to note is a lot of these guys had the end of the year, fiscal year. So they put in a bunch of crap into the financials, right? Bonuses, salary, share-based compensation, all that stuff has been added into it, which obviously kind of skews the numbers here a little bit. And we have a couple companies that have started their Q1s, which I believe is CleanSpark, along with DMG. And I think Hive also has reported their numbers for Q3, which is their Q3. It's not their end of the fiscal year numbers yet. So those numbers might be a little bit lower than they probably where they should be, right? But some of these other guys here, end of the year, bonuses, everything else gets added into it, and it kind of skews the numbers a little bit. So that's all I can say. So that's kind of what I'm dealing with here, right? It's not really apples to apples, but it's the best numbers I could come up with. All right. So this way, the way it worked out, CleanSpark had the best numbers here, and that's based on we're using the end of February, sorry, numbers for hash rate and calculating what their cost was for electricity based on that, okay? From what their actual electricity cost was for the quarter in Q4 or Q1 for some of these guys. And then we're adding in obviously total expenses and all that stuff. But going back to this here, so Bitdeer would be number 2 with 63,000, CleanSpark at 62,000, Terawulf at 63.9. You got Argo at 70.2. Argo right now we don't have the data on them, so we don't really know. DMG is at 70.3 thousand, Core is at 76,000, Marathon's at 82,000, Breakeven, Bitfarms at 85, Digihost at 88, Iris at 90,000, Stronghold at 90, Riot at 90, Hive at 92, Cypher at 92, Hut 8 at 128,000, BitDigital at 137,000, Sphere at 144,000, and Moss at 162,000. And that is obviously going to be dependent on your hash rate that you have installed right now, basically what your cost of electricity is and operations are like. Based on that, that's kind of the only way I could figure the stuff out without actually seeing the actual books by all the companies, which would be nice, right? I think everybody would like to see their total books as far as what they're spending on operations, all that stuff being separated out. It would make my life a heck of a lot easier. But this is kind of what we're dealing with here. And at this point right now, the only 3 companies that would be actually positive, cash flow positive for the first month after the halving event, if Bitcoin price stays at 65,000, now we're hash rate at 600,000. You got CleanSpark, Bitdeer, and Terawulf just slightly positive after paying all the expenses and everything else. That's the way kind of things shake up at that point. All right. Also on this, the machines, right? If you got newer machines, Mawson doesn't have newer machines. Sphere has some of the older machines as well. And then just their overhead, depending on their overhead, how much their overhead is for general administrative and things like that, that can definitely hurt you, especially as you get into the halving event, right? Which we're seeing kind of here, where their total expenses here for like Sphere 3D was 3.2 million. Their revenues only 1.4, roughly estimated, based on the hash rate that they have right now. And that's what's going to really hurt you, even though that they're small. But if you're spending a lot on general administrative costs, that's going to end up hurting quite a bit. That's how things stack up. Now let's say Bitcoin before the halving goes up quite a bit here. Let's say it goes up to about maybe 75,000. Well, at that point you got now DMG, Argo, like I said, is old. Also Hut 8, I forgot to mention this, Hut 8, they have reported their Q4 numbers, or it's consolidated, amended 6 months of data from June through December, and that includes basically 6 months of 6 months of USBTC numbers plus 1 month of December for Hut 8, right? So those numbers are definitely whacked. They're not correct. So obviously Hut 8 could possibly be lower on this poll here, or it could be higher on the end, depending on what the actual combined companies actually look like, which we won't get that data until Q1. So take that also into consideration here, right? This is definitely just like a wild guess based on what the numbers that they provided here, but I don't think they're anywhere near to being accurate, okay? So don't go by this on that at all. But that's kind of how things have shaped up here. And like I said, I think a lot of these companies would need Bitcoin to be much higher unless they can actually grow their hash rate quite a bit here in the next couple of weeks before the halving event in this month of April. That could help them out, especially on that side of things. But right now, at 65,000, we're looking not too great with a lot of these companies here, but they obviously have a great balance sheet, and we'll see where the things go. Now you can see here the graphs here. This is basically the break-even price for all of these guys here, going down here, and I think that's it. Yeah, that's all I got here is the break-even on this one, okay? Now, I do have another one that I'm looking at also that I wanted to kind of pull in as well, and they kind of look the same a little bit. There's some differences in it. But we're looking at this chart here, which, again, I don't have Digihost and Argo in here for the latest quarterly results. But this one just looks at power cost and like general administrative cash cost, general administrative, all those things, right? Interest rates, interest fees, all that. But it doesn't include like operational costs for employee salaries and things like that and that side of things, right? So these numbers are a little bit different in this. And the ops include cash costs, including interest expenses. Current assets include cash and current HODL. And then self-mining only does not include other business segments or JVs, financials, or costs. And we'll get this updated here as well once all the miners report their March production updates. All right, right now we only have basically a handful. We got CleanSpark, Bitfarms, Cypher, Terawulf now, Digihost so far, I think, that have reported. So we'll look at this a little bit closer here when they all do report, and we'll take a look and see how things stack up at that point. But this is more in line with looking at what their actual average hash rate is, what their average watts are, joules per terahash average right now, operating at the end of the last month here. Their electrical costs based on what I was able to find on some of these guys here, right? Marathon's obviously going to change potentially with them acquiring 3 facilities, that their cost should come down a little bit. Don't know how much, but this is all based on the latest information I could find. If I could find anything, if I couldn't find anything, it was at 5 cents. I set it at kind of on the average side of things here. And then we look at average joules per terahash, months of runway, how much do they have, net profit after electrical expenses, right? And then profit margins potentially as well. We'll look at all of that information when they do report, okay? So that is it here. There's no easy way to get a true sense of what their actual break-even cost is or profitability side of things unless we had the miners actually provide us with a separated table where they include, this is what we pay for electricity, this is what we pay for our guys' salaries or wages at those operating sites. If they broke it all down in that sense, we could possibly figure out what's going on there. It would be obviously, the data would be much better in that point. But at least this gives us a rough idea of where things possibly could be. Okay, so that is it. As always, you guys know the drill here. I'm going to give my little sales speech here. The spreadsheets are available to my Patreon members. That's still $8 a month right now. There might be some spots open for the $5 or $4 tiers. And those get updated anytime I include any new updates. So pretty much every day, unless there's nothing going on, then I do other things to the spreadsheets. So I may update them as well. You also get access to the Discord server through that, which is our private Discord server. Then we have a bunch of great conversations there, and a bunch of great people in there as well, communicating what they're doing and everything else. So that is it. Okay, on that one. Other than that, we'll see what happens later on this week. We have, what do we have going on this week? Well, we probably have a couple more updates tomorrow. I'm guessing probably Marathon, right? May report tomorrow, right? They're usually a couple days out after the month ends. And then we might have some other ones as well. So we'll see what happens. We'll see where Bitcoin goes. We'll see if it goes down some more or if it's going to actually go up. Yeah, but that's it. I'm rambling on here. Don't want to waste your guys' time anymore. So thank you so much for coming in to watch this. Really appreciate you guys. Appreciate all the comments you guys put in, and obviously liking the video. That helps us out tremendously. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.